This is Paul Turner, the immigration barrister at Imperium Chambers. Thank you for tuning in. More disturbing news from the Home Office as they plan to reopen the COVID concentration camps, or as they put it, Napier barracks, the unsanitary and unfit for human habitation camps. Indeed, the Home Office has gone back on its word that it would be using Napier barracks for temporary contingency accommodation for asylum seekers who would eventually be moved to dispersal accommodation such as a house or a flat or potentially a hotel. Now, apparently, asylum seekers that have already been housed in hotels are being told that they will be transferred to Napier barracks, not for a temporary period, but for up to 3 months. This is despite Public Health England finding that the accommodation at Napier barracks was not suitable for housing a large number of people, perhaps something to do with the fleas and the overcrowding and the unsanitary accommodation. Indeed, earlier this year, the High Court heard that the Home Office had ignored Public Health England's advice that the dormitory-style accommodation at Napier was not suitable for people during the pandemic. Indeed, it was not that long ago that over half the people at Napier barracks were diagnosed with coronavirus, which, it has to be remembered, has killed quite a lot of people and continues to obstruct and cause a great deal of misery. In addition, it's noted that the other camp at Penally Barracks was closed after concerns were raised about the conditions there. If anything, they were even worse. This is yet another example of the Home Office going back on its word. No surprise, really, given the right-wing stance taken by Priti Patel in respect of anything to do with immigration and migration. The sad thing is that I, and not only I, but many others have brought a number of challenges. And prior to it getting to the court, the Home Office have caved in and quietly moved the person back to more suitable accommodation. Now it appears that the High Court is due to hear a number of cases next week to determine whether housing people or rehousing them for long periods in such appalling conditions is lawful. It is clear that if there is one case of COVID, then there is a huge risk of there being another massive outbreak, given that the people are being housed in dormitories of up to 28 people. And we've heard reports about the showers not being cleaned properly and of sinks not working already. In this case, it appears that appearing tough overrides the humane Home Office that Priti Patel promised after the Windrush scandal report came out. Indeed, one needs to question why asylum seekers are being rehoused if they already have accommodation. And it appears that it's really no more than an attempt to gain political capital out of the most vulnerable people suffering. It's to be remembered that they're picking and choosing the people to put in there, i.e. males of certain ethnicities and certain countries. As I've mentioned before, asylum seekers are at a historic low. Yet despite this, rather than dealing with the asylum backlog and clearing it, they're seeking to move people from safe accommodation into unsafe accommodation. It's not just me that thinks that the government's decision to use Napier barracks for long-term accommodation is appalling. Liberty and the JCWI, an excellent charity, have been allowed to participate in the upcoming case. And I hope that the spectre of what are little more than concentration camps, or a shade of the concentration camps set up by the British in the Boer War, with disastrous consequences then, are found to be illegal. Indeed, the British did set up such concentration camps where there weren't locks and keys, but in essence, it led to lots of people becoming very, very sick, which is indeed what happened at Napier Barracks earlier. But indeed, this government doesn't appear to wish to learn from its own mistakes. And in my view, and I hope that the court agrees with me, it finds that the accommodation is not suitable for people, particularly during a pandemic. With the government prattling on about the rule of 6 and not gathering and certain things not being open, it seems pretty strange that it's okay to put 28 vulnerable people in one block and not expect the virus to have a field day. Anyway, it's another, as I say, yet more disturbing news from the Home Office. I will update you on what the courts say if they give their decision next week. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you have a good weekend. Please subscribe to my channel. This is Paul Turner, the immigration barrister at Imperium Chambers.